Hello again. In this video, we are going to be using a different adjustment layer. In my previous one, we were using levels. I'm going to hide this one. And what I want to do, one thing I want to mention is that you see how I have this level selected, or this layer selected. Whatever layer that you have selected and you try to create a new layer, I'm going to do this right now, it creates a layer right above that one layer. Let me go ahead and delete this layer. I'm going to just drag it into the trash can. If I select my edits layer and I go to add a new layer, it's going to apply it directly to that layer that you just had selected. I just want to throw that out there. I'm going to select the topmost layer, which is the levels. I'm not going to view it. I want to create a new adjustment, and this time I'm going to select curves. Now with curves, it gives us the property windows here, and we can see that we are able to see our histogram again. But the way this time that this window works is that you have two different bars that relates to different values. This is the information that's found within your image, the darks to the lights, and this is the information of how they're being applied. Right now it's a one-to-one, meaning that for the black value that you have, it's you have the darkest black point. Over here, white, the lightest value that you have, they're also situated together. Now, one of the things that you're able to do, I'm just extending this window longer, you're always able to go to the defaults and try the different presets. So say, for example, if you want to change this to darker, I'm just going over a couple of them. You see what happens now. It just brought what was the midtone, it just dropped it down a bit. So instead of gray being gray or mid gray now it's a little bit darker. So let's go to increase contrast. And you can see now we have what is called like an S curve. And this is sometimes like the typical type of curve that you'll have. And that you can see that for the lights. I'm going to zoom out, Command or Control minus, so you could see this a little bit better. Let's see. Okay, we'll see this. Well, I'm going to zoom in a bit, just so you can see a little bit more. The values, the darks are getting a little bit darker, the brights are getting a little bit brighter. You can even go to lighter, which makes everything lighter. You could see what is happening here, but I'm going to go back to, oh, well, now I want to go to the color negative, and you can see how this made this as a color negative, where it's actually separating the red, the green, and the blue channels. We have been working with the RGB, or if I go to the just negative, this is changing whatever is black in your image is now white. Whatever was white in your image is now black. So you see how it switches. But with any of these, you could always click and move these. You see if I was drawing this all the way to the bottom, it's just black all the way across. So this is like just a manual reset. We're going to default resets it as well. And similar to levels, you could always click on these little eyedroppers, and I could go in here and say, maybe I'll click on this tree. This should be the dark value. Similar to the other tool, to the levels, where, let's see, maybe this light should be the brightest one. And we have something that looks like this. These controls are the same. I could click and hold down this little eye. Once I let go, it takes me to, it temporarily turns it off, brings it back. Or this eye, which is actually changing the visibility of your layer. Now that is one functionality. The one thing that I really appreciate about this tool is that we have this little hand right here. When you have this hand, what you're able to do, I'm going to click on it. I'm going to go into my image and say, for example, let's focus on, maybe I want to focus, I'm trying to figure somewhere out, maybe on this tree right here. You notice that as I move my cursor over uh, the image, over here along this bar, it is changing as well. So it's showing me where that value is at. This value is right here. If I click and hold down my mouse button, my left mouse button, you notice that my cursor has a little up and down arrow. If I drag this down, I am now interactively dragging my curve. So, okay. And now what if I go right here? What if I want this value to be a little bit brighter? I'm going to click right here and I'm going to drag this up. It's making that value brighter. How far up? It's up to me. So now maybe I like something that looks like this. So I'm able to go into those different areas and say, for example, let's see, what if I want, let's see, this one is a little bit too close to the other value as I'm going through my image. What if I want this to be darker? I click on this one, hold down the mouse button, and I'm going to start dragging this down. And you see, since I put those other two values, since I've already clicked on them, all of my values are here are adjusting. It's trying to keep those specific values that I previously selected on my curve. They're trying to keep them there. But I'm trying to further adjust this. Now, if you have too many points along your path, say I'm going to go right here, and then I'm just trying to select different values right here. It's like, I don't want these here because they will further adjust my image. You see how we have less control the more points that you have? Now, what if I want this one, but I want it to be a little bit darker, but I don't want these here? You can always click on any one of these, and if I just drag it off the page, off the area, you can see that they delete. So you're able to change those. And you can always go to any one of these points and I could interactively move them as well. I can make them brighter. I can even move them left and right. But typically you want to just move them up and down. So this is using curves. This gives you even more controls compared to the other two tools that we have. So uh, depending on what type of look that you want, if you want to make this more contrasty, if you want to make it a little bit more flat, the choice is up to you. So we have these two tools, and these are the only ones that we're going to be going over today. There's another tool which deals with exposure if you want even more control, but we won't go over it today. Uh, what we're going to be doing next in the next videos is we're going to be working with color. So I'll see you in the next video.